And this is Game Changers. Game Changers. Game Changers.
Yeah.
Right now, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, hi, I'm Ilene Graff, and this is Game Changers with Vicki Abelson. I'm so excited.
You did that so good.
Thank you.
And Ilene knows how to, Ilene is going to give you her beauty all, because she understands the camera. And
I understand the camera.
You understand the camera.
Well, you know, when you're in drama school, you learn a lot of different things. And one of the best things that Ithaca College did for us many, many years ago, before lots of schools were doing that, we took a full year of acting for TV. And that's really never, it wasn't done back then when I was in school.
We didn't do it when I was in school.
Yeah. So we learned how to do a commercial, we learned how to hold a product, we learned how to work a camera, and it really was, it was very helpful when the time came. Yeah.
And you've done stage, you've done theater, you've done TV, you've done everything. So we're gonna start. We're gonna go back because I was yeah, that we're gonna go back in time because
I was born at a very young age.
And you were born and you also were born into a showbiz family.
Yes.
Which impacted your future. So your father was
a singer. His name was Jerry Graff, and he was always in the music business. He was a studio singer. He had a very successful nightclub act in the 50s in Las Vegas. They played the Sands and the Sahara. They opened for Frank Sinatra.
Okay, I heard that you got to see Sinatra a bunch of times.
Bunch of times. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, if Sinatra was in town, my dad, and I was little, like 6, 7 years old, we would go up to the Follow Spot booth at the Sands Hotel and sit there like this.
Oh my God.
And watch Frank Sinatra. And my dad would be saying things like, listen, he's sharp here. Do you hear that?
No.
Do you hear how good that sounds? He would be giving me information as a little kid that I think really sunk in.
Really?
I think it did. Yeah.
Did you understand at 6 years old what you were seeing?
Yeah.
You did. The magnitude of...
I did. Yeah. Because I was always around it, and we were... he was always singing. He wasn't always home. He was on the road a lot.
So, what kind of gigs would they do that would take them out? What did they do?
They played... Well, there was a time in America where the country was full of very swank nightclubs. Really swank. People dressed up. There was Chicago and Houston and New Orleans, every place. And they would get... His name of his act was the Beachcombers with Natalie, and they started out on the Arthur Godfrey show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they won Talent Scouts, and then that included going on the road with Mr. Godfrey. They were on the radio, and then they got all of these really fabulous bookings all over the country. So
your father was successful.
Yeah, he made a living. He made a living, yeah.
Doing what he loved.
Doing what he loved and what he was good at. And then he was always a vocal arranger. He did all the vocal arrangements for the group. He did vocal arrangements. He was one of the vocal arrangers on the Nat King Cole TV show. And his group was on, and he contracted the backup singers for Nat Cole.
Wow. How many people were in your father's group?
There were 4 of them.
Men?
Natalie. 3 men and Natalie, who they met in Hawaii during the war. My dad was in special services with Carl Reiner and Hal David.
Carl is my publisher. I love Carl.
He's it was a magical thing. They put on shows in the South Pacific during World War II. That was my dad's job during the war.
Wow.
And so they met Natalie as she was Hawaiian. And the guys were in the unit, or he knew them from singing or whatever, and that was the group.
You were saying before we went on the air that in the service people can have a career in music.
Yep, absolutely.
So your father's kind of started. Did it start there or before?
Well, he always was into music. He played
piano. Did he have a musical family?
Well, Jewish families, you're not supposed to do that. My grandmother was very talented. She played the piano. She sang beautifully, but that was not permitted. It wasn't permitted. She was a bookkeeper, and apparently she used to sneak out during her lunch hour to play piano in the silent movies.
Wow.
Yeah. So when my dad came along, she decided that he was going to be her musician, and she named him Jerome after Jerome Kern.
Oh.
And it's like Grandma Frida knew. She knew. That was the one. So he always had music. And my mom and dad met in college, at Brooklyn College, in the music department. They used to play twin grand pianos.
Wait, your mom's a musician as well?
My mom was a musician. She wasn't a professional musician, but she was absolutely a musician. Yeah.
Wow. Did she sing?
Yeah, she did. She was a choral singer.
And do you have siblings?
I do. I have two brothers. My brother Richard is a salesman, and my brother Todd is, he writes and directs movies. He's a Tony nominee.
Oh, wow.
He has been working since he's 7 years old. He was on The Electric Company.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my cousin Randy is a big Broadway star. Randy Graff won a Tony for City of Angels.
Oh, my gosh.
And my cousin Lori was she also did Grease on Broadway. Randy, Eileen, and Lori, we all did Grease on Broadway.
I saw you with Sandy.
I'm so pleased to hear that.
and as am I to have been there, but not as exciting as seeing you and I Love My Wife, which was... I loved that show. I mean, I loved Grease. I saw it with the first cast and the second cast. I went back a few times, but I Love My Wife. You're from the original cast.
Yeah, well, that was a game changer. You know, when you have the opportunity to create a role in a show that becomes successful, it gives you a certain confidence. And doing that show made me, it's funny to say this, made me realize that I belonged in television.
Okay, that is, okay, what does that mean?
Because I Love My Wife was kind of a sitcom, a long-form sitcom with songs, and the songs were great.
I never thought of it that way.
I loved my song that I sang, my solo, was, I love, love, love it. But in that show, I felt what I do is very well suited for TV. And I just kind of knew that was going to be my next step.
How old were you when you did I Love My Wife?
I'm not supposed to talk about that.
Okay, you don't have...
I was in my 20s.
So you were in your, but it wasn't the first. You did Promises first.
I did
first.
Promises was first, right out of college, and then Grease was shortly after that.
Okay, so let's talk about how that stuff happened. So you come from a musical family. Your brother...
My baby brother
is in the business. The one who's a salesman, is he musical as well?
No, but he's really funny.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's good.
He's really funny.
Funny's worth a lot, right, Pete?
What's
Hi,
up?
Pete George, back there.
Hey!
Hello.
And Sharon Daniels is what? Sharon is a theater person and does impressions and everything, and Sharon's watching in Florida right now. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
And I'm seeing who else.
We love Florida.
Do you?
I do. I have a lot of family there, a lot of friends there. I just love it. I love playing there. We did concerts at the theater in Delray Beach. There's a wonderful theater, and they bring in like cabaret kind of singers, and you get to do a 2-act concert.
Wow.
Oh, it's just so cool. And because it was Florida, and there's so many people of like friends and family. I mean, we sold out 2 nights, and it was fantastic. And then everybody's like, "I knew your mother, I know your father,
mother and your father."
It was great. It was fantastic. I enter in that show. I enter from the back of the house and walk through. And whenever I would do the show in Florida at the condos or wherever, I'd be singing, walking my end, and somebody would grab me by the arm while I'm singing and say, "I knew your mother." But it really makes you feel loved and accepted, like right off the bat.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you grew up Queens.
Queens, yeah.
Okay, Queens girls.
Queens.
When do you know? You know right away. Are you singing as a little tiny? You said at 6 you're going backstage, but when are you singing?
I started singing, I guess, in high school.
Oh, wow, that's late.
Yeah.
What were you doing till then? What was your passion?
I was just being a kid.
That's a good thing to be.
I was just
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know.
So it wasn't about going into the family business. That wasn't the thing.
Not until college, really. Not until, I mean, in high school. Well, let me backtrack a little. In high school, I was singing. I was in the folk singing group, and I was singing jingles. My dad was a contractor, a vocal contractor in New York. He hires singers to sing backup on records and jingles and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So I was doing studio work as a teenager.
Making some money.
Making some money into the unions, which was great. but not singing live, just in the studios. And then, and in the folk singing group. And then in my high school, Martin Van Buren High School, we only did one show a year, and only seniors could be in it.
Okay.
So I wasn't in my first show till my senior year of high school.
And what was the show?
That was Once Upon a Mattress. And that's sort of when I said, I like this. I think I could do this. And so when it was time to apply to colleges, I applied places that had drama programs, because there was no such thing as a musical theater major back then.
Right.
In the 60s. It just didn't exist. So when I got to college and you had to declare a major, like first day, there was a very, very long line at the table where people were going to be speech majors, and a much shorter line at the drama major table. And I knew I could sing. I was learning how to act, and I said, I'll be a drama major.
Was it really that arbitrary?
It was kind of arbitrary.
Wow.
It was kind of arbitrary.
Okay.
I knew I was always going to sing, because the singing was one thing I could always do.
Did you study it?
I didn't study voice seriously until I was out of college.
Okay.
But I had trained my whole life with my dad. My whole life was about singing and pitch and breathing and all that, because you learn by doing in that world.
So your father was not just a natural. Your father had skills.
Oh,
he had technique.
Mad skills. Mad skills. He wasn't a soloist, and he always was putting his own self down, putting his voice down, and we'd say, you sing great, but he was more comfortable singing in groups, and he was like one of the best sight singers in the universe. He could read anything. You put anything in front of him, and he could read it. No problem.
Wow.
He was highly skilled. He played piano really well. He was a very
So
good
he was
musician.
trained.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, very highly trained.
So you start to sing. You do that show in high school.
Yeah.
You go on to college. You're a drama major.
Yeah.
Are you doing? Do you get to do plays? Do you get to do musicals? What, you do.
Yeah.
And so what musicals did you do in college?
We did, well, I didn't get roles until, I never didn't get anything my freshman year or my sophomore year. Junior year, we did Where's Charlie? And I got to play the older lady, of course, because when you're tall, you play the older character. I used to be tall before I started shrinking with age. And then senior year, there was a new chairman of the department my senior year, and he saw something in me. He was the first teacher, one of the first teachers that saw something in me. And we did Gypsy, and I got a 20-year-old Mama Rose, of course. But
Were you really?
Yeah, I got to be Mama Rose in Gypsy.
Oh my gosh!
And that was incredible. And then I got to do that role again. God, it's a long time ago now, but I got to do it as an adult.
Wow!
And it just made me think back, because I have no memory of doing it in college.
Really?
I don't know what it felt like. I don't remember what it felt like, but thinking, how did I accomplish this as a 20-year-old? How did I do that? But
that's huge.
Yeah, it was thrilling. It was thrilling.
I'm finding us on here so we can talk to people. Pete's going to tell us what people are saying and questions and stuff, but I'm just trying
It's
to...
so funny to see yourself on the iPad.
I know.
From like a few seconds before.
I know. It
could make you a little nervous.
Yeah, don't watch.
It's like when you do the national anthem. I've done the anthem many times at games and in stadiums and stuff, and you get the what do you call it? The echo back.
Yeah.
And you just gotta go through. You just gotta sing without listening. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that has to be really hard.
But great fun.
I'm trying to get it so we can. This is not going where I want it to go, but that one is, because I'm trying so we'll be able to say hi to people. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Christina.
You're getting some love.
Oh.
So you're in college. You're learning film as well, which is amazing.
Technique there.
Okay, you get out of college. What happens?
We had a summer stock company in our college on Martha's Vineyard. So I finally made it into the summer stock company after I graduated. Everybody else was going right after freshman year and sophomore year. I've been a very late bloomer. So I got into the summer stock company on the vineyard, and we're there doing like a show a week. It was a lot of work. And I get a call from my dad, and he said, the understudy to Jill O'Hara, who was the leading lady in Promises, the understudy is leaving to go do another show. So her job is available. And that job was understudying the leading lady and being a pit singer. We sang backups to the songs.
So while the show's going live, you're singing.
We're singing we were part of the band. Part of the band. And so that job required you to be able to do the role, play the guitar, and be a real singer so that you also had to be in the band. So you had to be a singer, like a group singer who could also read, who could be an authentic backup singer for Burt Bacharach music. And my dad was very good friends with the conductor of the show. And he said, I think you can do that. And he said, well, I'll get her an audition. So I left the Vineyard one day, and I said, I'm going to go audition for a Broadway show. And I went to New York, and I auditioned for the Broadway show. And I was capable of doing all the things. And
You played guitar?
Yeah. I played guitar like, everybody played folk guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to the Vineyard like the same day so I could go do my show. And a day later, they said, there's a call for you in the box office. And I went in, and it was Promises, saying you got the gig. So I left the Vineyard, and I went to New York, and there I was in my first Broadway show.
Oh you're like 22 years old.
I was 21 years old. I was 21 years old.
Oh my God.
And to this day, I think it was the best audition I ever did. I had a chance to talk to Artie, who was the who lives in Florida. I spoke with him recently, and I said, "Is this my memory playing tricks, or was that like a really great audition? Am I remembering this correctly?" He said it was the best audition I ever saw. I said, because it was like a movie. It was, because back in those days, you auditioned on this stage of the show. You don't do that anymore. And it was before a matinee. It was before a matinee. So I'm standing on the stage. Only the rehearsal light is on. It was like it was like a 50s movie. Yeah. And I'm standing there in my little dress. I had a dress. And the crew is starting to assemble for the matinee, and I'm singing, and it gets very quiet, and everybody's looking out from the wings, and I sang my song, and I said, that really happened, right? And he said, yeah, it really happened. You got the job.
What did you sing?
Knowing When to Leave, which is one of her big songs from the show. So I went to New York, and I learned all the backup parts, and I didn't get to go on for almost a year. But it was great.
So what is that like as an understudy? Well, you're performing a function though every night.
Yeah.
So, but what is it like to be in waiting all the time? I mean, is it crazy making? Is it wonderful? What is that?
It really wasn't crazy making. Mm-hmm. I felt so crazy lucky to have a job doing what I really love to do, because I really love singing backup. That's what I love doing.
Really?
And I was good at it, and it was a great first job, because you're in a Broadway show, but you don't have the responsibility. I knew my stuff. We had a great legendary stage manager named Charlie Blackwell. We had understudy rehearsals every week. We were really, really prepared.
Wow.
And do you know the show The Tap Dance Kid? You ever hear that show?
I never saw it, but
well,
it sounds familiar.
Yeah, he also wrote the book to Tap Dance Kid.
Wow.
He was an amazing guy, and he believed that we needed to be prepared. So when the call finally came, I came into work one day, Wednesday matinee. I went and I got my tuna fish sandwich, and I was heading downstairs to where we shared a room with the wardrobe. And I'm starting to eat my tuna sandwich, and Charlie says, "Guess what? You're on today." And I went,
"Oh my God.
Let me call my mother."
Wow.
So they managed to get into the city. I don't know how they did that, all the way from Belrose to... And I went upstairs to Jill O'Hara's star dressing room, and I went on.
Okay, so what was that for you, that first time that you took the stage?
It was great. It was absolutely great. The audiences, they weren't coming to the show, I don't think. It's not like...
Carol Channing was doing the role.
There you go. It's not like you're going to miss Carol Channing.
Right.
You were going to... Jill O'Hara was great.
Right,
oh my God, she was fabulous. But I think people came to the show to see the show.
Yes.
And Jerry Orbach and all. And so when I came out, they were just really supportive.
Oh, that's so nice.
And I got great applause, and I felt like they got it. They understood that I was a kid and I was on, and they were really on my side.
And of course, they didn't know that it was your first time. How was Jerry Orbach? I loved.
Well, actually, you know, I'm lying. He wasn't in the show. It was Tony Roberts. Tony Roberts replaced Jerry Orbach. Yeah.
I saw Tony Roberts in Played Against Sam with Woody and Diane, and wow, he was fantastic.
He was great.
You know what? I saw him in something musical too. I have to think of what that was. Yeah, he was fabulous.
He was a wonderful musical comedy star.
Yes.
You know, he was so strong and he sang well, and he had just wonderful characteristics. You know, he was so lovely on stage.
And how was he to you? Like, he knew it was your debut. Did he know?
I have no idea if he knew. I have no idea.
Was he good to you?
Yeah. Years later, I was at a commercial audition. Ed Winter was a very popular Broadway actor, and he did a lot of television. And I was at a commercial audition, and Ed Winter was there, and he played the love interest for, you know, he's having an affair with this young girl, his character. I'm the young girl, he was the man. And I said, excuse me, I don't know if you remember me, but I understudied Jill O'Hara in Promises, Promises, and we did the show together a few times, and he looked at me and he said, I don't remember you at all.
I'm waiting for the big sentimental payoff.
I said, that's okay. I said, I understand. But you know, that happens to me too. People will come up to me and say, remember I guested on Mr. Belvedere? And I go, so nice to see you again.
But that's the difference, is that you're gracious and lovely, and don't make the person feel like an idiot.
It was so funny. I don't remember you at all. There you go.
Like that. That's actually very funny.
It was funny.
Okay, so Promises. So after you did it on Broadway, you toured. You went. Okay, so what is that like when you're hitting America and you're coming into town and you're being the star for the week? Is it a hard life?
It was hard. I think I would do better, oddly enough, I think I would do better at it now than I did then, because then I missed my boyfriend, I missed New York, I missed my mother, you know, I missed my life.
So you weren't in gratitude for, oh my God, I get to do this, or?
Always in gratitude for doing the work.
Okay.
Always. Oh my, I got to go out and sing all those songs. I got to sing I'll Never Fall in Love Again 8 times a week. I mean, it was great. That part was great. It's the other part. You know, when you're on the road. And I think as a mature person, I would figure out how to make it work. I used to sit in my hotel room and mope. Oh, wow. And now I would go out and I would see everything every place had to offer. I'd do master classes. I would do what my friends do now when they're on the road.
I see.
They really take advantage of it. You know, they find every opportunity that every town has to offer.
It's also easier now because there's internet. It's easy to know what's going on everywhere.
That's true.
And we have cell phones and we can communicate. We can FaceTime back home. It's not the same kind of loneliness.
No, it's not the same.
Okay, so you did that for quite a while. How long did you do that?
9 months on the road.
Okay, that's a long time.
It was enough.
So what happens after Promises, Promises?
I came back to New York. And
don't tell me you walked right into Greece, because you're going to make me crazy.
A couple of months.
Oh, yeah. How did that happen?
My boyfriend at the time was one of the guitar players in Greece, and I knew everybody because I knew everybody.
Right.
And they had auditions for Sandy, and I said, "Who can I audition?" And Louis St. Louis, who's the musical director, we were friends, and he said, "Oh yeah, you have to come and audition." So I auditioned, and I had a callback.
What'd you sing for that? Do you remember?
No.
Okay.
That's a really good question. I have no idea what I sang for my Grease audition. Not a clue.
Okay.
Not a clue. I remember the dance call, however.
Were any of the original cast still in it?
Pretty much. I mean, Barry Bostwick and everybody was there except for Adrienne had just left to go do Maud, Adrienne Barbeau. And who else had left? The original Marty had left to go do something else. But pretty much it was mostly the originals.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was less than a year. They'd opened in February. I came in December, I think. So it was less than a year from when it started. So I had an audition and I don't even know if I had a callback. Probably had a callback. We had to do a little movement call because Sandy doesn't dance. So I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, they they beefed that up for the movie. Yeah.
And now all the productions, the subsequent productions, Sandy dances. But the original one, there's no dance. I'm none. You skip around.
I can't even remember.
You skip around in the lunchroom song in Summer Nights. There's a little skipping, and then there's a little something and all choked up, but there's really nothing. There's no dance at all.
Hand jive.
She doesn't do the hand jive.
She doesn't do that
because that's at the prom. It's raining on prom night. She doesn't go to the prom.
It's raining on prom night.
Yeah, she doesn't go. She doesn't go to the prom, so I never.
She doesn't get to hand jive. Okay.
I do it in my concerts. Make the audience do it. It's amazing how many people
know how to
do the hand jive. Yeah. They stand up.
Oh. So okay, so you get that role. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a life changer right there.
Well, I'll tell you, the friends that we made, I mean, the Greasers are a very tight group of people. Mm-hmm. And we're still good friends, and we still try to see each other somewhat regularly. I have my 2 girlfriends from Greece. We get together at least on our birthdays, and usually, and several times in addition during the year.
Are they out here now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Almost all of us are out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's the friendships that really, that were formed, because for a lot of people it's either their first show or their second show. We were really young.
Well, because it's kids, right?
And we
were
playing kids. We were playing high school kids. So for a lot of us, our Grease friends supplanted our real high school and college friends. So it was great. They were great. It's so talented, so incredibly talented.
And it had to be a fun show to do because it's just a ridiculously fun show in every way.
Absolutely. It was so much fun. I mean, you're playing a kid. You're playing a kid. And there's a certain amount of pranking that would go on and hijinks and the audience loved the show so much. We had people that came back hundreds of times.
I saw it at least 3 times, 4 times on Broadway. Yeah, it was pretty wonderful.
We had a cab driver whose name escapes me right now. He used to come to the show all the time.
Aww.
And he always liked to sit in the front row. And then he would take us home.
Oh,
he would take us home.
Aww.
It was great.
That's so sweet. Okay, so you do that for
2.5 years.
For 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And why do you not do that anymore? Why do you stop doing that?
Because I got another show.
What'd you get?
It's a show that you'll never have heard of, nor will anybody have ever heard of it.
Okay.
Aside for a few die-hard musical theater buffs. It was a show called Truckload. We closed before we opened.
Okay.
We closed in previews. It was by Louis St. Louis, wrote the songs, who was our musical director in Greece, and book by Hugh Wheeler, who wrote the book to Candide, and we did the most amazing backers auditions. The singers were incredible. The songs were great. And we go into... And Dick Clark was one of our producers.
Wow.
I mean, it was...
Destined for great.
It was destined for greatness. But while we were in previews... And there were problems. There's always problems. This didn't work out. That wasn't right. The sound stunk. It was like a lot of stuff. And while we were in previews, there was going to be a newspaper strike. And they decided that they were going to cut their losses. And they gathered us all in this little room and said, "We're closing."
Oh, and you had left Greece.
I quit my job. But and I say to this day, it was my most heartbreaking show business moment. And you would think with all the stuff, all the shows that were canceled and all the pilots that didn't make it, and all the projects that fell through, that was the heartbreaker.
Because you loved it so much?
I loved it so much.
And did it ever it never saw the light of day?
Never saw the light of day. And I keep thinking if we could do like a concert version of it and just do the songs like we did them at the backers auditions.
Wow.
It would be great. But, there you go. That's the way it goes.
Okay, so that happens. You've given up your job. Now this happens. What happens next?
I did other shows. I did Cabaret in Paramus, New Jersey, and I did
Sally Balls, of course.
Yes, and I did industrial shows, and I did, I don't know.
Are you always working? Are you always making a living?
Yeah.
That's pretty wonderful.
Yeah, okay.
And I mentioned to you before the show that I heard you on another podcast today where you were saying, why don't you tell us that growing up, you were only around people who worked. That you were around people who were successful.
Yeah, and in my career, I mean, you're in Greece with a bunch of kids, but everybody's working. So I didn't have a lot of experience with not working, and my friends didn't have a lot of experience with not working.
So it was like the expectation: I'm going to work.
I'm going to work, and the whole Broadway world was a much smaller world back then. So if you were I also did like a billion commercials. So if you were in a Broadway show, like if you were in Greece and you were auditioning for commercials, they loved having people who were in shows in their commercial. They could bring the client. That's going to be the girl who's selling the soap, or So I always made a living, always. So I did all those other jobs, and I was always doing commercials all the way through. And
so then you're making real money.
I made money. I made some money. Yeah, I saved it all.
Did you?
Save your money, because you never know when it's going to be over. And it's always over.
But it hasn't been over for you. It hasn't been over for you. You work. So
then I did all those. And then I did Annie Get Your Gun in Elmsford, New York, at the Elmsford Dinner Theater, which is still in business as the Broadway Dinner Theater, I think it's called, whatever. But it was not that far from Manhattan. So a lot of people would go up there to check it out, see what was going on. So I did Annie and Annie Get Your Gun at the Dinner Theater, and it made people interested in me again. And then I Love My Wife came.
How did that happen? I mean, because that's a really pivotal moment in your career. Originating a role on Broadway is...
Yeah, it was a big hoo-ha. I just auditioned. Do you
remember what you...
I sang Cabaret.
Okay, there you go.
And my husband was playing for me.
Oh, were you already...
We were already married. And Cy Coleman, who wrote the song, wrote the music, I sang it in a key, and Cy comes down and he says, "Can you try it in this key?" And my husband says, "Who's auditioning here?"
Wow.
Because he's like trying to audition, dress pose on site. So I think it was like one audition, one callback, and I think it was one of those, the best jobs. You've probably found this too, and Pete, you've probably found this too. The jobs that are the easiest to get are usually the best jobs.
Everything in life, the relationships that are the everything in life, the easiest is the best.
Because you walked in and you ticked a box.
Yeah. I can't wait for my third marriage.
I'm hip.
So wait, before we get into I Love My Wife, tell us how you met your husband and what, because you have a working relationship as well.
Well, he was playing the piano, and he was music, conducting half the shows. He was like the second guy. So Louis was a music director, and Ben on Grease. So that's how I met. But funny thing about Ben, he was a studio player. He's an arranger, and Ben and my brother Todd, who's my brother who's in show business, had worked together when my brother was like 7 years old.
What?
They did, because my brother was a child studio singer, and Ben was a player, and they were on a job together. And Todd remembered Ben, and he said, "You remember that date for Ann Phillips, and there was a kid?" And Ben said, "I do remember that." He said, "I was the kid." And my brother had a cassette of the song that they did together, and he played it, and we all just started howling laughing, because my husband has a very distinct style. There's Ben playing, and there's my brother singing in a tiny little boy voice, but it was my brother. Oh my God, this is this family is, well, Beshert.
Beshert, for those of you who don't know.
Meant to be. So I knew that Ben grew up in East New York, Brooklyn. And my dad's family's from East New York, Brooklyn. So I knew that we were from the same neighborhood. And one day, Ben and my dad were talking at a party. "Where in East New York? Where'd you go to school?" They went to the same elementary school. They had the same teachers. My dad had them with their maiden name. Ben had them with their married name. "Where in East New York?" "Wyona Street." "Wyona Street? They lived on the same street.
Oh,
Well,
you're
no,
giving me goosebumps
Vermont,
now.
Vermont Avenue. Where on Vermont Avenue? Number 34. They lived in the same house. My dad's family lost the house in the Depression that my husband's family eventually bought. We're from the same house.
Okay, that is.
It's a little woo-woo.
Oh,
right?
my.
It's a little woo-woo. But,
wow.
you know, you meet somebody and you sort of feel comfortable with them.
How much later did you find that out?
I think it was sort of like right before we got married. And it was just, wow.
That's crazy.
And when my grandmother met my mother-in-law, they said, "Oh, I remember you from the neighborhood. They didn't know each other.
Right.
They lived in different worlds, different circles. But they knew the Schneidermans was the drugstore, and it was all the same. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys meet during Grease.
Right.
How long till you get married?
We got married years later. When I was doing I Love My Wife, I Love My Wife opened in 77 in April, and we decided to get married. So we got married in August of 77.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my husband got the first call to come to LA to write music for Happy Days. Our friend Charlie Fox, who wrote the song Happy Days and many other theme songs, Happy Days was looking for a composer, so he recommended Ben, and it was at exactly the same time that the wedding was going to be. So he said, I can't do it. She just opened her show. There's still stuff going on. We can't go. So Charlie said, okay. I was like, oh my God, is this an opportunity lost? And then the next year, Charlie called again and said, we're still looking for somebody. Do you want to? And Ben looked at me and he said, your show's been open a year. You didn't win a Tony Award. Now it's just a job. Shall we go? So we went, and he came first, and he started working right away, and he didn't have a day off for I don't know how many years, and years of writing. And I gave my notice after the show had been running about a year, and we came out and never left.
No, looking
But
back.
we kind of...
You didn't do Broadway after that? You never went back? Yeah. Okay, so how did you... Pete, you have a question for us? For Eileen?
Would you like a question?
Sure. You looked like you had one to ask.
God,
so.
I haven't talked this much in my whole life. No, everybody that knows me will say I could sit in a room full of people for hours and never say a word.
Oh, you're fabulous. You're very...
I'm not usually from the talkers.
This is multiple part then.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Laura Frost. Okay, let me see. How long have you been involved in Waitress the Musical?
Never.
What?
Never.
I'm just telling you what they're asking.
What was
But your daughter, maybe you're thinking about your
Samantha
daughter.
sang.
Thinking about your
so
daughter.
what was the question that Gary... that was a Mr. Belvedere question. We're not up to Mr. Belvedere yet. Does anybody have any theater questions before we get to TV?
Well, let's see.
Let's see if we're in theater.
Yeah, you're right. You don't want to get to the other one yet.
No, I don't want to do... Sandy
let me
Hilbert.
see.
Hi,
Could
Sandy.
you name some organizations you were a part of?
Like nonprofits and things. I'm very, very active with the Actors Fund, which is a nonprofit social services organization that helps everybody in the entertainment industry. So no matter what you do, actor, writer, producer, director, curtain puller, dresser, accountant in the box office, whatever you do, if it's in comedians, for sure, composers, casting directors, anybody who's an entertainment professional, starting from age 9 to death, we are there for you. So if you need anything, help finding housing, health insurance, our goal is to provide stability for artists and others in the entertainment industry, which can be so volatile, where we need to find affordable housing. So 12-step programs, financial advice. There are so many classes and courses that we have help you find a sideline job.
So what does a person have to do to qualify for this help?
You just have to be an entertainment professional.
And they don't have to be a part of a specific association? Wow,
No,
that's
you just have to
amazing.
prove that I think there might be an income thing, like you have to say you've made X number of dollars over the past couple of years, because we understand, one of the things that we understand the most is the nature of the business. You could be making 300,000 one year, and the next year you could be making nothing. So we understand that. So your income requirement, I believe, I hope I'm not giving bad information, is averaged over a certain amount of years. So I'm the co-vice chair of the Western Council of the Actors Fund.
That's so fun. What brought you to that?
I probably working on some of the big concerts that we used to do. I was invited to perform. Actors Fund used to do these really fancy, big all-star benefits. And I was invited to perform. My husband was music director for a couple of them. And once you get involved and see what happens, it's very seductive. And you say, I don't want to just sing on a concert. I can sing on a concert anytime, any place, for anything. I said, what you guys do is what's really interesting to me. And we're actually having our big gala fundraiser this Sunday at the Skirball Center. This Sunday is the Tony Awards, and we get the only live feed of the Tony Awards on the West Coast.
Wow!
And we honor somebody every year. This year we're honoring Lily Tomlin, so she'll be there, and her gang is going to be there. And it's a fabulous, it's a banquet. We have tables, we have dinner, we have a silent auction, we have entertainment. It's the whole thing. And it's so warm and friendly because you go we all go to dinners, right? You go to all these dinners during the year and you never know anybody. This one, you know people, and it's all the theater nerds like you, and that's where we raise a whole bunch of our money. So that's this Sunday. If you're interested, just go to actorsfund.org and click through, and you'll be able to find links to buy tickets. Sunday.
I'll put it in the notes for this so people can find it. How wonderful!
Yeah, it's cool. It's a great party.
And so you help, or what do you?
Well, our Western Council is very much an advisory board. We say this is. We think that it would be cool if we could do this, or here's a great idea for a project that we think will raise some money, or for example, I have a meeting tomorrow at the Actors Fund because a friend and I are thinking about starting a book club for the seniors group. So we're going to have a meeting and we're going to talk about it, how would that work, and all of that. And so it's very, whatever the word is, accommodating to ideas. Like if you have a great idea that you think would be good for the membership of the fund, you can just go in and say, have you ever thought about this? Or I'd love to work on the Tony Party Committee, or I know rich people, let me be on the development committee. Or I'm involved with a part of the Actors Fund called Looking Ahead, which is for young performers aged 9 through 18, who are our most vulnerable members of the entertainment community. So Looking Ahead is phenomenal part of the Actors Fund. A lot of these kids are homeschooled, so they don't have outside friends,
right.
And they're in a world dominated by adults, and they have to be adults on the set, and they don't have a lot of opportunity to be kids. So Looking Ahead provides educational counseling, financial counseling, and tons of community service.
Wow.
Because we really believe that they have to learn how to give back. It's great.
I'm loving all of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to you. So you move out west.
Yeah.
Your husband's working on Happy Days.
Yeah.
Hi, Anson and Donnie, and Lynn Stewart. Where are you? Where's your career? You've given up given up Broadway. Your commercial contacts, I'm guessing, are there.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
All right, it's over. So you come out here. You're a wife.
I came out, but my New York agent, had an affiliation with an agency here.
Okay.
So I go in to meet the agent, and I say, I'm
legit?
Here. TV film agent, regular agency. I said, I'm here, and let's do something. So they started sending me out on calls, and I just started working pretty much right away.
What was your first gig in L.A.? Do you remember?
Barnaby Jones.
Ooh, nice.
A two-parter on Barnaby Jones.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. It was like, here I am. And that's where I met Lee Merriweather, who's like the nicest woman that ever had 2 feet shoes. You should talk to Lee.
Real? I would love to.
God, she's Miss America.
She's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. So yeah, that was cool. It was really fun, and then I really don't remember in order what happened.
But
after
you did
that.
you did Happy Days.
No, I never did a Happy Days.
Oh, I thought you did a Happy Days.
I did Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy. But I never did Happy Days. My husband wrote tons of music for Love Boat. Never did a Love Boat.
Wow. All right, so Mork and Mindy. So what was that situation like with that wonderful maniac, Robin Williams? What was that set like?
It was great. It was great. It was comedy masterclass. And he was very sweet, really nice, really professional. You know, like totally there for you. Just, you know, when you have a scene partner who's really there for you. I loved him, and I did three more. No, I did 3 Mork and Mindy's. I did
It's on your IMDb is all wrong about everything.
Well, you know, and also my memory could be bad. No, I did a Mork and Mindy, and then I did a 2-parter. There was a 2-parter, Mork and Mindy. Joe Regalbuto and I played aliens from another planet.
Not so strange on that show.
Yeah, we were robots. Robot aliens, and it was so much fun. And we destroyed the set.
Wow.
Totally. It was like, you know, one of those things where you go, and the whole set is just, it was fantastic. It was just great. And it was supposed to be the last show of that season because they wrecked the set. And that was going to be it. They were going to wrap it, and that was fine. Then the schedule changed, so we did our 2-parter, wrecked the set, and then they had to do a whole other episode, so they had to put everything all back together.
Oh my gosh.
But watching Robin Williams and Jonathan Winters interact was really fascinating. Fascinating.
Did they have they had to have comedic shorthand between them.
It was like lightning. I mean, you know, it was so fast. So fast. I couldn't follow the jokes. I couldn't follow it. We're all sitting at a table and you're just like a tennis match. There was no time to laugh.
Wow. Because
it was all so fast. And yet when the director said action, that was it. They were in character. They were ready to work.
They weren't improvising during.
Not a lot. Not a lot. Maybe a little. And there were times when Robin kind of where, to the best of my recollection, which isn't always dependable, there'd be a little riffing time where they knew he would start riffing on something. But as a professional, I believe he also knew the show was 22 minutes long.
Right.
You can't go on too long. It's
right.
So you do what you have to do. It was great. It was great.
How about on Laverne and Shirley? Was Gary Marshall on the set that day? Did you get to meet Gary? And
I don't remember him being around. The episode I did of Mork and Mindy was one of the very first things that Penny ever directed. So it was great. It was a really wacky show. It was mostly with Lenny and Squiggy. It was Lenny and Squiggy go on the dating game. So Jim, I just forgot his last name. It's terrible. The real guy who hosted the dating game.
Oh, Jim Lang.
Thank you. Oh, God, I feel so much better now.
No, normally
Jim Lang, they recreated the set. I was the girl. I played a lot of the blonde bombshell girls. I did that. I did a lot of that, believe it or not. And so I was the girl in a gold lame mini dress. And Lenny and Squiggy are the contestants, and Penny was the director. And it was hilarious. It was so much fun. It was great, and she was good.
She was an amazing director. Yeah.
She'd pull me aside and she'd say, "If you wait a beat before you say this line, you're going to get a big laugh."
That's a good impression.
I did everything she told me to do. So who am I to argue with this woman? Just I was there to learn. You know, tell me.
Good for you.
Oh, yeah, come on. Tell me all the comedy things.
Well, it starts with you listening to your father, which not every daughter listens to their father. So that right there, the fact that you
musically, absolutely. There was musically. I always listened to my father. Maybe not other things so much, but
so your relationship with your husband, since you're both artists and you've worked together, and how's your artistic collaboration? Your personal collaborations lasted a very long time. Is creatively, is it as in flow for you guys?
Yeah, we see pretty much eye to eye. We'll always laugh. We disagree about tempos. He always likes things faster. I usually like them slower. But we both like being super creative. We don't like doing songs like everybody else does. We're really into reinterpretations, and he's a
What's the name of your class?
Making the Song Your Own, vocal performance workshop.
I'll put a link to that as well.
Yeah.
Which there you go.
And I believe in that. I mean, and I tell my students, you can't copy Barbra Streisand. You just can't.
Unless you're.
And what's the point?
And even Rosie doesn't
and
at all.
Roz
She's
doesn't.
got her completely own thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's got the voice that she sounds like her, but she's got her own thing completely.
Yeah. It's much more interesting. I tell them I'm not you. I find you as my students so much more interesting than Celine Dion. I don't know Celine Dion. I respect her, but I don't love her. I don't know her. You're interesting. What's your personal story that you're going to bring to this song? So,
and I love that also that you were saying that you have to know your students, or they have to come through somebody that you know. Do people audition for you before they?
No, I get a sense of who they are.
Will you take somebody that doesn't have a ready voice?
Sure. I think that the kind of workshop that I do is, I believe in, and I'm the least woo-woo person you ever want to meet. I don't believe in anything. I don't believe in ESP. I don't believe in ghosts or angels, none of that.
I believe in all of those things.
Everybody else does but me. It's not always easy being me. But I believe that music builds community. And that's part of what we do. I believe in the social aspect of the class, and I believe in the friendships that people make. And I believe that all of that makes you a more interesting performer. So I have students with varying experience and varying abilities, and they all learn from each other. They support each other. It's a team. It's like it's like Little League.
I have a writer's workshop, and it's the same.
I'm sure
the same kind of thing.
I'm sure it's exactly the same. Some people are gifted to write, and what they do is great, and you just have to tweak a little here, tweak a little there. And then other people want much more. They want to learn more. They want to.
Does everybody come in with the song they want to make their own, or do you help people find that song? How does that work?
Both. Both. Some people really know what they want to sing. They bring in their song. Sometimes I say no. Mostly I say yes. You
will know if a song is absolutely wrong for somebody, and you direct them somewhere else.
Yeah. And there's also a distinction between a great record and a great song.
So can you give us an example of something that's a great record and not a great song?
Yeah. Let's go back many years.
Okay.
A song that was an earworm for just forever. Funkytown. Remember that record?
Funkytown.
It was a great record. Oh my God! What's the song? Let me take you to Funkytown. We can't do more than a certain number of seconds. So you have to learn to take away the production and listen to the song, and that's challenging. And sometimes people will bring something in, and I go, just think for a second. Are you loving the record? I love that record. Let's extract the song. What's on the sheet music? And then they'll see it's like 4 notes over and over and over and over again, and there's not much you can do with that. Or a lyric that doesn't really tell a story. So, yeah.
You know what I find interesting? People, singers who have great instruments, but they don't tell the story. So is part of your training getting them to, I'm assuming, it's getting them to tell the story.
That's everything.
It's everything, right?
It's everything. We spend
because if you sing from the Kishkas...
you have to... I have my students, And because I come from music, the music part of it is also very important to me, and the vocal technique is important to me. I'm not a voice teacher, so I don't go too deeply into vocal technique.
Okay, I wanted to hear about this. So you're focusing on the song.
On performance. But I do spend a certain amount of time on vocal technique. But voice teachers get advanced degrees in teaching voice. They know the physiology. They know what your soft palate does. They know what your larynx does. They know what your the resonators do. I know that stuff only by experience, and I never present myself as something I'm not. I'm
so
not
what might a session be like
in class?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because for those of you out there who are interested, you have to get to know Eileen first before you can take her class. But maybe I can introduce you.
Well, everybody performs every week, but we go through kind of a curriculum that we've worked out over the years, where
you do it with your husband?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I could never afford to do this without him. I don't charge enough money. This is our community service to a great degree. We know that we've been really, really lucky in this business. We feel that between us, we have over 100 years of experience in show business.
Wow. So,
and we kind of know what we're doing, and we just love giving back. But all that aside, you pick a song, we pick a key, I say yes to the song finally, and then there's a process. So the first week you have to read your lyrics as a monologue without any
music.
Without music, without following the rhyme scheme, without following the rhythms. It's really hard, but that's the way you get to the kernel of truth of the story.
Wow.
That's how you follow the
Samantha,
story.
are you listening to this?
Yeah.
I love this.
It's really important.
That's a
it
wonderful
really
exercise.
brings you back to the story that you're telling. And then the next exercise that we do is everybody has to bring in a story from their own life that somehow reflects the story in the song. And it doesn't have to be literal. The example I often give is Happy Birthday.
Okay.
So I'm sure everybody would have some sort of personal memory of Happy Birthday. So I say, like when my daughter was 7 and we had her birthday party at the gymnastics place. And there were all these little kids sitting around the mat, and they brought out the cake and everybody sang Happy Birthday. And when I hear Happy Birthday, I think about what an amazing day that was, and how much I love being a mom, and how great it is to see all these healthy, wonderful children. So that's my personal story about Happy Birthday. And we get a lot of stories about bad breakups, and how I met my husband, or why doesn't she love me anymore, But everybody's got a story. And it's great if you have a personal story that somehow the lyrics of the song bring back a memory or a story from your own life, because then I know that you've got an emotional well to draw from when we're working on the song.
I love that.
It gives you a tool. We need these tools, we need these techniques so that
you're going to a real place.
You go, yes, you have to go to a real place. You don't have to, but
it helps.
It helps. And as professionals, we have a shorthand. And they say to me, do you do that for all your songs? I say, kind of, sort of, but I do it fast.
Right.
I don't have to work on it for 4 weeks or 5 weeks. I can look at it and go, oh yeah, I know that story. And yep, okay, I got it. And that's oftentimes the difference is, I'm sure you know, the difference between a professional and somebody that doesn't do it all the time is the speed at which you can work and the speed at which you can get stuff done. But I love the process of seeing them, and I love when people have that aha moment when they go, oh, I see. So this line of lyrics is pretty much telling the same story as that when I was telling you this story. So when I sing this line of lyrics, if I remember back to my story, it's going to be very real. Like, yeah. So it's cool.
So you watch it unfold, and you watch it unfold. You watch it.
And I'm sure all the teachers, and in anything, whether you're teaching math, when a kid finally understands that this means 3, and the word 3 means this, There's got to be that same kind of moment.
Mm-hmm.
That never really happened for me past 3. I don't really do very well with numbers. But, so that's my speech about that.
No, I love that. And I think that's really valuable for anybody out there who's doing any kind of art, actually. I mean, it's the same thing with writing.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of connecting. So you're getting a lot of love. People are loving up big time over the Karen. Natalie's out there.
Hi, Karen.
We're going to say hello to everybody and go through questions in a couple minutes. I want to get to how. Okay, so you're doing these guest spots.
Right.
How does Mr. Belvedere happen? I mean, because
that was everything.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the olden days, when you had an audition for a show, they used to have people that delivered scripts to your door.
Wow.
Back in the olden days, it was somebody's job.
Wow.
And there were messenger people, and they drove around and they delivered scripts. So the script came to my door for this audition I was going to have, and Ben and I read the script, and my husband says to me, "Oh, that's your job." I said, "It is?" He said, "Don't even worry about it. That's your job."
Wow.
So I went in and I had an audition, and it went well, and I had a callback, and it was one of those things, right?
Easy,
The best jobs
right?
are the easiest jobs. I had
Mm-hmm.
an audition, I had a callback in the office. Then we had that network thing. You have to go to network. I don't know how it works now, but back then it was at ABC in the big corporate offices, and I went through that so many times before Mr. Belvedere. But
Everybody has to approve you.
Everybody has to approve you. But at our network audition, Bob Uecker was there, and he was attached, and Christopher Hewett was there, and he played Mr. Belvedere.
Okay, so wait, before you go further, because I don't want to keep him waiting any longer, who's our friend who asked about Mr. Hewett?
Gary Collins.
Gary Collins. Another Gary. So what was it like working with him?
I knew Christopher from before. He
Oh.
had directed me in a musical, also in Paramus, New Jersey.
That's crazy.
A musical called Over Here. Did you ever see Over Here? So, we did a production of Over Here in New Jersey, and he was the director. So I had known him for years.
Wow.
And it was so great. Oh, there he was, and he was auditioning as well. He wasn't connected. He wasn't attached. Only Uecker was attached to the show.
Did they have you do a chemistry read with
Bob.
both of them? Just with, okay.
And that was like instant.
Really?
Instant.
He's so cute.
We just fell in love with each other.
Oh.
It was like he said, "You were the only one that could give it back as good as I gave." Because he's funny, and he loves shtick, and he loved to banter and everything, and he didn't intimidate me. Bob, he just wasn't that kind of guy. And so I had my network audition, and that was that. Easy.
Okay, so how does life? I'm assuming that.
And
life,
Christopher's great. Christopher was great. So much to learn from him. He was such a great director and such a prepared and thoughtful and wonderfully funny but kind and generous actor. I just adored him.
Was the whole set that way?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that that's another life changer. There you go.
Big life changer.
I mean,
the biggest one.
network TV. You're now recognized and going.
Yeah.
So how does your life? Are you a mom yet?
Yeah.
You're a mom.
Yeah.
So how does your life change when all of that's going on?
The truth of the matter is, my life didn't change very much, except there was a little more money, and so we were able to get the help that we needed in the house. But my daily life didn't change all that much, because when you do a family sitcom, multi-camera...
Oh, the kids have to go home.
Well, the kids go home. It just was a very normal... It just felt normal.
Your hours weren't crazy?
Hours were normal. We were in at 10 in the morning. We were out by 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So I always took my daughter to school in the morning.
Wow.
Ben worked at home. He was always able to pick her up from school in the afternoon. You're with kids all day. Your job is to be funny. And everybody, we had no crazy people on our show. Everybody was like a normal, super plain person. So it just was like going to work at Macy's, or, much better than going to work in an office that I did once. It made me completely crazy.
We didn't talk about that if you had to have real jobs in your life.
Not as a professional. I had a couple of jobs when I was a student, but my daily life didn't really change all that much. We were on an amazing schedule. You know, you work 3 weeks, then you have a week off, and you have your hiatus. You have those months off when you're not working at all. So it just was like normal, and we were never a #1 show with the kind of enormous fast fame that comes to people, like the people that were on Friends. It's like one day they were nobody, and then all of a sudden they can't walk down the street.
Right.
We never had that. Bob had that because he was famous from his Miller commercials and from being on Johnny Carson. He couldn't go out. He couldn't go out in public.
Wow.
Because people would just be on him.
Wow.
He'd never been to a mall.
Wow.
He couldn't go to the movies. He had a few restaurants where he felt safe. Wow. He was really famous. But for the rest of us, we were just like working folk. And it was perfect for someone with my personality.
How was it being like the celebrity mom? You know, like going to the function at school and
well, you have to understand we're in LA.
So there's other celebrity
moms. So it was just normal. You know, it was everybody was doing something. You know, Laurie Metcalf was a mom at our school. So, you know, that was absolutely irrelevant.
Did your daughter okay, now your daughter's in showbiz.
Yeah.
So where did it start for her? Like, when did that become her path? That's what she knew what she wanted to do.
Well, it was funny when she was little and people would recognize me. She didn't like it very much. She didn't like it at all. Like, we'd go to Disneyland and I would think, well, nobody's going to recognize me. Oh, who am I? I'm nobody. And then people would come over and like all of that stuff. She didn't like that at all when she was little. It's my mommy, which was so cute. She always could dance. She's a dancer.
Okay.
So from her littlest self, 2 years old or whatever, she could always dance. And we sensed that was her thing. That was going to be her thing. And from a very, very young age, I was saying before that she always knew she was going to live in New York. And one day she's like 4 or something, and she's standing on her toes, on her little baby toes, saying, "Is this how a real ballerina does it?"
Wow.
So she was kind of on that path, that dance path, and she went to. We always had a lot of music, and there was always shows and stuff going on at school and whatever that she was always involved with. She sang with the Los Angeles Children's Chorus.
Oh, wow.
She got to be in the operas at the Music Center, and she had some wonderful, wonderful experiences. And then...
did she ask you to help her do that? Like, was she... Like, I'm assuming you guys didn't like take her hand and walk her in there.
Oh no,
it was of her.
Oh well, the stuff that was kind of training-y, like the children's chorus, Los Angeles Children's Chorus, we were very strongly in favor of.
Okay.
The musical training, and they're still in existence, and they are fabulous. The musical training they get is great. The vocal training they get is great. The discipline, the responsibility, it's just, and they get these amazing performance opportunities. But when she was little, she wanted an agent. She said, "I want an agent." I said, "I'm not taking you on auditions. When you're old enough to drive, you can get an agent." And she really wasn't happy with me at all, that I just didn't buy into that thing. I wasn't going to be driving on the 405 for some commercial audition, you know. But she was always talented. She was always good. She could sing. Her pitch is immaculate. You know, there just were things that she could do. And
good genes.
And no matter how many times, we have a joke in the family, no matter how many times I would say, "Pediatrician," calling Dr. Nikka. It's who she is. It's just who she is.
So how did her success manifest? Because she's had success already. So did it happen easily for her as well? Or seemingly easily?
Her career trajectory was very different from ours. show business is much bigger now than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the competition now is, you can't just sort of walk in because your friend is this and they're only seeing 4 people and so you get the job. That just doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So when she trained at Boston, she went to Hamilton High School here in Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
which is at the time and still is a fantastic training program. It was a magnet school,
Mm-hmm.
so kids from all over the city would go there. They did 2 major musicals a year,
Mm-hmm.
professional level,
Mm-hmm.
everything just top class. And she went to a camp in the Catskills called Stage Door Manor.
Know it very well.
And my brother, did you ever see my brother's movie Camp? Which was about...
No.
Okay, so, well, you gotta watch it.
Oh my God, yes. Samantha,
Camp.
we have to watch.
You gotta watch this movie. He made a movie about...
When
Camp.
because Matthew Broderick and Sarah, they all went to that.
Everybody
to Stage
went.
Door.
Natalie Portman,
Yeah.
Josh Charles, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the list of people that went to camp is just
Yeah.
crazy. So he made a movie
Well,
about
when did he
camp.
make the movie?
I would say it's maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
Or something, but it's
Uh-huh.
a cult.
Wow.
Huge cult movie. Oh, you would love it,
Oh, I-
especially since you spent a lot of your childhood in the mountains.
Yes.
You'd love it. So she went to camp, and it just was phenomenal experience. A lot of hardcore training, and they put on a million shows.
Right.
You know, I was running around crazy with all the crazy people. And then she went to Boston Conservatory and got her BFA and trained, and went to the city and started auditioning for things, and just
Did
went
it happen quickly for her?
I would say pretty much. Yeah, she just sort of.
What was
did
she
something-
auditioning for at the beginning? Was she doing commercials as well?
No, she really hasn't.
It was staged.
Yeah, stage.
Mhm,
So she got her equity card doing a youth theater tour of Seussical, which that version of Seussical eventually played off Broadway.
Oh, wow.
That she got to do, and they recorded a new cast album that she's on
Aw.
of that version of Seussical. And she worked at Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey. She did a couple of shows there. She's worked at the Long Wharf. She worked on Sag Harbor. She's just.
And what was her first Broadway break? What happened?
Her
for
first
her?
Broadway show was Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. She was doing Peep Show in Las Vegas. She was a showgirl in Las Vegas. Peep Show was an equity show in Las Vegas.
Wow.
So she was doing that,
Mhm.
and she had auditioned for the workshop in New York of Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. And she got the workshop and did the workshop while they were on. It's so complicated what happened with Peep Show. Now I don't remember, so I won't even go into it because
Okay.
I'll say it wrong. And what's the point of that information? So she got the workshop of Women on the Verge,
Mhm.
and then she got the show. And although the show was not successful on Broadway, it was what an experience. I mean, Patti LuPone, Brian Stokes Mitchell, Sherry Renee Scott, Rachel Bay Jones, all these incredible, Justin Guarini. What an experience. What an amazing experience for her. Talk about crying when you see your kid. She's on the original cast album. and
Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
we would just sob. We would just
Oh.
sob through the show. Yeah.
And recently you did something together.
Yes. Yeah, we were invited by 54 Below, which is a really wonderful club in New York. They had a duets series that they were doing, so they invited us to participate. They said, would you and Nikka put a show together so you could be part of our duet series? And I, forgetting that my child was not 12 years old, said, of course we'll do that. And then I said, I didn't even ask her. So I called her up. I said, I just said yes to do something without asking you. Is that okay? She said, what is it? And she said, oh, no, yeah, definitely. So we put this show together. She does solos. I do solos. We sing together. There's a lot of funny stuff. And then we did it here in this past January, a year ago January, at Vitello's. And looking for more performance opportunities for our show.
And so there, you hear it. You've heard it here. So, I don't know about first, but you hear it here. So so bring those opportunities. So okay, so and you're also an author. How did that happen?
Well, Donna Rosenstein is a fantastic casting director. She's now like the head of casting for Amazon.
Wow.
So she found Rachel Brosnahan, and
Wow.
she's great. She was also big in casting at ABC when I was doing a lot of stuff at ABC, but she was roommates with cousin Lori at SUNY Birmingham. What's the name of
I know
You know
where
the
you're
one
going.
I
I know
mean.
you're. Yeah. Not Purchase, not Stony Brook.
No, my brother went to Purchase.
SUNY.
B. It's with a B.
Yeah,
It'll come to me.
yeah.
It's in there. So they were there. They were very close friends, and I've known Donna her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And Nikka was doing a show in Anaheim Hills. I mean, what a schlep.
Mm-hmm.
So Donna, we went. People, they go see your kid in a show, and we're sitting eating. Got a bite to eat before the show, and we're talking about all these about being a mom and being a mom in show business, and about how we're not as savvy as the other moms. We weren't part of the mommy world. We were part of the show business world.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling me a story about how she didn't know that you have to order the hamburgers first to bring to the class party, and it came to be like, why do all
were you ridiculed, you showbiz moms?
Not really, only in our own minds.
Oh.
But it was, how do all those other mothers know? What do those other mothers know? And we said, what the other mothers know. That could be a book. What the other mothers know. And so over
What's
time,
the rest of that title?
I can't even remember. It was so long.
It's like
It's long, and it was a long time ago. So Donna and I were partners, and we had a
I love
third
that you don't
partner.
even know the name of the book.
I don't. It was very long.
Yeah.
The subtitle was really long, but it was something. Again, I would be lying if I said I remembered, and I try not to do that. So Michelle Gambleman was our third partner. She was a TV writer. She was very, very funny, and we made a book. And we got a publisher, and it was published, and we were in stores. We were in the window at Barnes and Noble on Broadway in the 80s. You know that store.
I do. It's right by my mother's house. She lives a few blocks away.
It was,
that's exciting.
It was great. It was a great experience.
Did your parents live to see your success?
Yeah. My mom died very young of cancer, but I was already on TV, and Nikka was already born, so.
Oh, see, the title's only what the other mothers know on my thing. But you also did South Pacific with Glenn Close and Harry Connick. I was Nellie Forbush in high school.
Were you?
Yes, in high school.
Did you have so much fun?
Yes, because I got to wash my hair, except my
Did you
eye
have
makeup.
short hair?
Yeah, no, I had a bun.
You had a bun.
But
How
my
did you
eye
wash your
makeup.
hair with a bun?
Well, no, I didn't wear a bun when I washed my hair on stage. They had a real shower. They made a shower, but my eye makeup all ran, and I didn't know. And on opening night,
so you had
So I had black when I was singing "I'm Gonna Wash That Man," and everyone was laughing, and I didn't know why. I thought I was adorable, and it wasn't.
And then you came backstage and you said,
I
"Why do I look like Pierrot?"
Yes. And then I started crying, and then I had to clean it up really fast. But you did it with Glenn Close and Harry Connick. Oh my God!
Right?
What's it like to work with that cast?
It was so crazy. We did it in Australia, so most of the cast was Australian. They brought a few Americans over. I mean, the big stars, Harry and Glenn, and a couple of other people, and Lori Tan Chin, who played Bloody Mary, who's on Orange Is the New Black, and I, and that was it. Everybody else was Australian.
How long ago was this?
Oh God, 20 years ago.
Okay,
yes, a long time ago. But it's a memory that I really have. It was amazing. It was huge. It was gigantic. This movie. We had real vintage World War II planes. We had a real landing strip. We had Patricia von Brandenstein was our designer, our scenic designer, and she had won an Oscar for Amadeus. So everything was perfect. Everything was beautiful. And we pre-recorded the music in Sydney. So it was like all the things that you want. And I got to work with Harry, and who's so extremely cute. And Glenn, and it was like, it's like we were in summer camp. It was really like we were in summer camp.
Were they easy and part of the...
Ugh, easy. Easy. That was an easy audition.
Really?
Because everybody was in Australia. We were on our way to a party. I think it was like Mother's Day or Father's Day or something. And my agent says, can you go on Sunday and sing a cappella for the director of the movie, Dick Pierce, who's going to be in town for a day. And that's going to be your audition. I said, a cappella? He said, yeah, that's the way it is.
What'd you sing? Do you remember?
I don't remember what I sang. Maybe Ben will remember. I don't remember. So we go into this office. They had rented an office, and I sit down and chat. You know, I mean, I had qualifications. It's not like I couldn't sing. But they just wanted to get a sense of who you were, because it had to be somebody that you could believe was Glenn's boss, because I played her boss. I sang a couple of lines, and he said, thank you. And then the next day they said, okay, you're going to Australia. I said, okay, I'm packing my bags.
Wow.
And we stayed in beautiful apartments, and we were on the beach, and it was a fairy tale. It was just a fairy tale. And we got to do those songs, and Rodgers and Hammerstein, and like acting. Like there was acting. Like I acted with Glenn Close. I had acting.
Wow.
Like it was great. It was great. I loved it.
That's pretty thrilling.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you haven't done that you've done a lot? Is there anything that is out there that, hey, one day
Yeah. So I have 3 things on my bucket list.
Okay.
The first one is I want to do another Broadway show before I die.
Okay.
The second one is I want to sing with a symphony orchestra, because I've never done that. And I want to be in a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh! You know, that one we might be able to pull off. I know a couple of
That's
people
what everybody says. I say, oh, that's not, it's hard to get in a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Okay, so Michelle Samet, I'm talking to you. Gregory Cope White, I'm talking to you. He does Christmas movies for Netflix, so maybe you can adjust your dream.
You know, it's like...
Okay.
Somebody needs a grandma, right? Like there's grandmas in all those stories.
Okay, Greg.
I could be a Hallmark grandma.
Can I be your boyfriend in it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then wait, I know someone else, and Nicole, also does Hallmark stuff. So all right, I got some people.
And the Hallmark offices are really close to my house in Studio City, and I drive by and I go.
Why is that on your bucket list?
Okay. So after the election, I needed something to ground me. And I discovered Hallmark Christmas movies where there's always a happy ending. And everybody's really pretty, and there's snow, and the stories are really easy to follow. And everybody's so sincere. And I just started watching those movies, and I got completely addicted.
Wow.
And then I found out I was not alone. There was a story in the New York Times about how people became addicted to Hallmark Christmas movies.
After this election?
After the election in 2016, they had an explosion of popularity.
Wow.
And every night I would watch a Hallmark Christmas movie.
I know nothing of this. This is...
Oh,
wow.
You gotta watch them. If you're sad,
a Jewish girl can this is your thing, is it?
Please,
yeah.
Jewish has nothing to do with it. It's about snow, and then everybody, the leading ladies are all either party planners or interior decorators, or
they have great clothes.
They have beautiful clothes, and they work in these wonderful professions, and they all start out in the city, and then they realize that. And then for some reason they have to go to someplace in the country. There's a reason.
It's like Baby Boom. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Either the grandmother is sick or something, or the car breaks down. So the guy that the fiance in the city, who's like a money guy,
and he's a shit, right? He's a shit. He has to be a shit.
Oh, or maybe just shit adjacent. So then she has to go to the country where she meets this guy who sometimes is a widow with an adorable 6-year-old, or some guy that she went to high school with, and
You're nailing it. It's absolutely
shit adjacent.
Right?
That's my favorite
Right?
moment of this show.
And they always find out that the guy from their old hometown or the guy in the country in the plaid shirt and the jeans.
It's Sam Shepard.
He's the one.
He is Sam Shepard. He's the country doctor.
But less complicated than Sam Shepard.
In Baby Boom, he was so simple.
I don't know if I ever saw Baby Boom.
Oh, if you like Hallmark Christmas
Is that
movies,
Diane Keaton?
Diane Keaton goes back. She goes to the country and she creates baby food. Oh, come on!
There. So every Hallmark movie sort of follows, but they're nicely written and they're soothing. They're just soothing.
All right. Well, this is a big pitch, and we
they
have
have
a
nice
few
actors in them. And they all have snow, and they
always
have a snowball fight,
Always.
right? They always have a snowball fight.
You watch these, Peter?
Oh my God!
Yeah, right, Peter.
Where have I been?
She's out of the loop.
I'm out of the loop. I need to watch a Hallmark
And they go
Christmas movie.
skating, and then the town always has a big Christmas tree decorating contest or a party, and they wear nice coats with beautiful scarves.
It's so cozy.
It's cozy.
Yeah.
And the houses are decorated because it's Hallmark.
Yep.
So they all have those beautiful Hallmark ornaments.
Of course.
Bows and lights and everything. And they managed to decorate the house overnight.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to decorate my house, it would take me a week. I don't do it anymore because I don't have a little kid at home. Mm-hmm. But I just love those Hallmark movies.
All right. Well, we've done a good pitch for that. We have a few people watching who can make that happen. So we're gonna. All right. So Pete, it's time for us to talk to people at home and people out in Cyberland on the Facebook.
They might be at home,
and they could be at home.
They could be at work.
They could be sitting on their phone at a takeout waiting for food.
That's right.
We don't know. They could be anywhere.
They could be at In-N-Out.
They could be. I want In-N-Out. I want
They
a
could
burger.
be at I called El Pollo Loco one night for delivery. We wanted El Pollo Loco delivery.
They deliver?
Well, Seamless or somebody picks up the
right.
And I get a call from El Pollo Loco and they say, we ran out of chicken.
No, that has happened to me at least 5 times.
Are you kidding me?
No, they run out of chicken.
I said, you have one job, is to have chicken.
That's right. They run out of chicken a lot over here in La Cañada. They run out of chicken.
I'm so happy to now I won't take it personally.
Don't take it personally. It's okay. So Pete, what we have questions?
We got a couple. Yeah. Someone, Sharon Rothberg is asking, is it the Wick or Crest Theater?
Oh, the Crest. The Crest Theater. Beautiful, beautiful theater. It was a high school, and they redid one of the, like the concert hall or whatever, in this high school and turned it into this beautiful vintage-looking theater, about 500 seats, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's got a big stage and nice lighting and nice sound. And it was wonderful. I loved it there.
Do you do theater here? Do you like?
I haven't done theater in a really long time.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, I do. I did a play a year ago and change in Palm Desert. My friend Lloyd Schwartz wrote a play for Character Play and asked me to be in the play. And it was called Dinner at 5, and we did it in Palm Desert, and it was a blast. It was so much fun. It was really good.
I interrupted Pete. By the way, David Pincus says hello.
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 Harriet is on the line too, watching.
Hi, Harriet.
Laura Frost, she says, I love Robin Williams, such a legend. What is one thing you miss about Robin Williams?
That incredible energy and the intelligence. The energy, while it was manic, was never misdirected.
Wow.
His brain was so smart, and he would see the comic possibilities in anything. And his intellect was so strong that he was able to instantly see something, dissect it, analyze it, and make it funny fast. Again, fast. And there was something so magical about watching that happen. And I don't follow a lot of comedians. Now I will follow you, of course. I don't follow a lot, although I do love comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yes!
Love it. And it has opened us up to learn about a whole bunch of comedians we didn't know about. But I don't know how many people are as smart as Robin Williams and could figure out the ins and outs of a joke the way that he could.
Do you have more questions?
I do. Did you know of Chris's death 18 years ago from diabetes?
Did I know about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I knew about it. We were unfortunately out of the country and weren't able to attend his funeral, and it's one of the sad things that I still feel bad about. Losing him was tough. It was really tough because he was larger than life and occupied such a huge space in my life that for that to be gone was left a big hole.
Yeah.
Lynette, hi Lynette.
My Lynette?
Your Lynette.
Hi Lynette.
Our Lynette.
Our Lynette.
Our Lynette.
Another question just came through. Jeff Berry. Let me see. How did you get along with the kids on Mr. Belvedere?
Fantastic. Fantastic. I still think of them as my children once removed. It's really cool to play someone's mom, because to this day, if I ask them to do something, they have to do it.
Yeah, right?
It doesn't matter. I feel like, and they're, can you do this for me? Yeah, okay, fine. Doesn't matter that they're, Rob has got college-age daughters, and in fact, I'm having lunch with Tracy, who played my daughter, next week. I mean, they're spectacular people, just smart, really smart.
It doesn't
really
always
grounded.
go that way, so that's really lovely.
And we were extremely protective of them on the show. Bob especially. Nobody got away with anything. He was all of our dad, mine included. He was considerably older than me. He was all of our dad. And if anybody had a problem or just wanted someone to hang out with, he was always there.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. Oh my, what a guy.
Hi, so lovely. Gary asked if you knew of Chris's death from diabetes.
We just talked about that.
Oh, wait, yeah, okay. See, I was reading and I missed that thing. Oh, yeah, the hole in your life. I heard. I heard the.
When you're an interviewer, and I've done many interviews, I've been on that side many, many times. And when you're interviewing someone, you're listening to what they're saying, but your mind is clicking along to 3 or 4 questions down the road.
Well, but actually, I don't do that. I do stay present, but I was reading when you were talking. I heard your answer, but I didn't hear the question, so I didn't know who you were talking about.
Reading can be dangerous.
Reading is dangerous, especially.
I love to read.
But I'm trying to make sure that we address everybody who has something to say to you. Okay. Film the next one in Wrightwood, starting. Oh, Karen.
Is that Karen?
Saying, yeah, Karen saying, yeah. And Sharon was saying that she's played wherever you were talking about, I guess, in
at the
Florida.
Crest.
Oh, yeah.
At the Crest Theater. It's a wonderful place, right, Sharon?
Well, Eileen, you've lived a life that I hope my daughter gets to have a taste of.
Well, there's no reason for her not to. Whether I strongly believe, and I've been an advocate for a long time in arts education. I believe in it with all my heart, and I've done so much to try to bring people's attention to it. Your daughter has had a fantastic arts education, and whether all these kids that I've known through all the years, my daughter was in school, or the people that I've taught, or whatever, whether you become successful in show business or not, or decide, it's not for me, there's nothing like an arts education to prepare you for life. You learn so many life skills that are important, not the least of which is teamwork and reaching a goal and the steps that you have to take in order to get a finished product. In the arts, we start with nothing and we end with something. So I think your daughter stands a really excellent 100% chance of having a very successful life.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I love the fact that you've been successful in so many areas, not the least of which...
I forgot to tell you about we did a CD years ago, but talking about making a song your own. My husband and I took Broadway show tunes and arranged them as lullabies.
Grammy nominated. How did we not get to this?
Grammy nominated. I'd like you to have one.
Oh,
and
thank
Peter,
you. So it's called Babies Broadway Lullabies.
Yeah, Broadway
and
Lullabies.
it's Broadway show tunes done for babies.
Done as lullabies. So a song like Tomorrow, you would never think of Tomorrow, loud at the top of Andrea's lungs.
Song.
You'll love it on here.
Will you sign these with the wrapper off?
Yes.
I thought you just said, well, you sang these. And
No,
I was
you
like,
sang
I sang it.
okay, so I said on Facebook, I gave a tease to see if I could get you to sing a note or two before we go.
Well, there you go. Tomorrow. That's not what the song sounds like. And I always tell people, don't play it in the car because it will put you to sleep.
How was that to be nominated for a Grammy Award?
Oh, it was surreal. Oh. You nominate yourself, first of all.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and you go through like this process, and you have to get people to
vote for you,
and then you find out who's on the short list. So then you're on the short list, and then the nomination. Well, first of all, the Grammys has 14,000 categories. It's not like we were nominated for Album of the Year,
right?
But for children's music, I've never been nominated for anything. I'd never won an award, never. And so to be recognized by people who know a little bit about that world was just like, they listened to our CD and they liked it.
And you got to go to the Grammys.
Yeah, I got an outfit. I went to Loman's. Remember Loman's
at
the Beverly Center?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I went to the one in New York. But
Loman's. But there was a great Loman's, like right by the Beverly Center. And I go in to buy because I'm not going to buy a gown. So I went in there and Weird Al Yankovic and his wife were also there because he was also nominated for
I love it.
She was looking for an outfit. I was looking for an outfit. And we just started talking. And we said, do you believe we're Loman's looking for an outfit for the Grammys?
I love it.
She said, well, we're plain people. I said,
and we're Jewish.
We're plain old people. So
that's where Jews go to get the clothes.
There you go.
Eileen, thank you so much for
Thank
doing
you for
this.
having me. It was really fun. Thank you.
Wonderful.
And thank you, Peter.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
and so look out for Baby's Broadway Lullabies.
I think it's on CD, baby.
And
it's also a fundraiser for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. It's on that website, and that's where most people have bought the CD. We've been on the website since the CD came out, and it's raised thousands of dollars for Broadway Cares. So
that's fabulous. And if anybody needs help from the Actors Fund, Eileen, somebody you want to talk to about that. And if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows Eileen, you could possibly take her class, her workshop. So, but we'll
or get her a Hallmark movie, one or the other.
Or get her a Hallmark movie. Greg, Michelle, come on, Nicole, you guys. Thank you so much. And it was such a joy. Next week, I'm trying to think what's the date next week?
We were supposed to have someone who canceled.
Yes, so Elliot Gould canceled on me. Elliot, he said yes to me twice, canceled on me twice because his manager doesn't want him to do it, but maybe in time. But next week we have James Morrison, who is on 24 and on a ton of television shows, and he is fantastic. And
he's a good guy.
He is the best guy. He has an incredible amount of recovery. We're both 12-steppers, and he's got an incredible spiritual path. He's a beautiful man. He's a singer-songwriter. He's soulful and handsome and fabulous.
We like all those things.
Yeah.
And July 24th through the 28th.
And what's happening on July 24th?
We're headlining the Grand Hotel in Las Vegas.
Come around and say hello, Pete.
You are?
I am.
Come on.
Oh my God.
Well, so tell us.
July 24th through the 28th, I will be headlining the Grand Hotel in Las Vegas.
And that's wonderful.
That, amongst other things, and I just checked my phone, I am going to be in a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh, you lie.
He lies.
We'll be in it together.
But you could write one.
I could write one. Sure, I could. I've watched enough. I should be able to, right?
You know who I met?
Who?
Autumn Reeser. Do you know Autumn? She does Hallmark movies. She is so nice. She's beautiful, and she sings like an angel. She's a beautiful singer.
Yeah. Let's talk more about Hallmark.
Do they sing in Hallmark movies?
No,
they don't sing.
No, but she sings.
Okay.
I know her from singing things.
All right. Well, so there's that.
Yes.
So anyway, so we'll see you next week.
Congratulations on Vegas.
Thank
That's
yes.
so cool.
And then following James Morrison, the week after, we have Fred Willard. And there aren't too many people on the planet that I love more than Fred.
From Cleveland, too.
Is he from? That's
Shaker
right.
Heights.
He's got that car accent, too.
That's right.
Fred's got that car. So anyway, so we'll see you next week. And thank you again, Eileen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete, so much. See you then.
See ya.